How is it different in real discrete ways from, say, a manager level interview? What is it about that process, that experience that you wish more executives knew about going into the thing?
Well, it's always amazing to me, and it's almost worse. The higher up we get, the less prepared people are when they go into an interview. It's almost like they think I'm smart, I'm an executive, so I really, I can articulate what I'm good at. What they don't understand is if you haven't researched the organization that you're going to be talking to, and you haven't, I mean, it isn't researching the organization alone, finding out who are you going to be meeting with and then getting to know them. I mean, I always, if I go in and I'm looking at writing a retained search for a company, I want to know about the people I'm going to be meeting. Did they write a book? Are they active in Rotary? How many children do they have? And trust me, you can find anything about anybody anymore. I mean, there's no secrets anymore in this day and age. But understanding their life and who they are is so helpful in being able, because everybody hires people they like. So that commonality, finding those, areas of common interest make all the difference in the world. I had a gentleman in my staff has heard this story 100 times, where I had tried to once a month try to get him to work with us as a firm, and he would never return my call. And of course, I was talking to him from a business perspective. Here's what I do. Here's why I'm good at it. And he never called me back. So I decided I'm going to do all this extensive research to figure out everything I could find out about Brett. His name was Brett. So I called him and I said, hey, this is your normal call, but it's a different call because I want to ask you a question. I see that you wrote a book. I have been thinking about writing a book, and I'd love to understand what you did to actually like start that process because I'm stuck. He called me back within 5 minutes and became a client. That point of commonality is so important when you interview. And the more you know about where those areas could be, the easier it is for you to bring it up. Now, you don't go into the interview and say, hey, guess what we have in common? But it's in subtle ways. And I mean, you could say things like, I know that you have a creative bent because I see that you're a musician. I have that too. I love music, and that helps me to come up with innovation and ideas because I'm very right brained that way. You just told them what you have in common without telling them what you have in common.
Right. And all that can be learned. I mean, it's not
Oh,
an art form, it's sort of a skill you've got to practice. And I'll say something controversial. I think a lot of executives walk in kind of unprepared. They think they're
yeah.
prepared because they have a copy of their resume with them.
Mm-hmm.
And what we tell people is solid mistake is you say, well, as you can see in my resume, no, they've already read that. Now they want to get to know you and you want to get to know them. And I feel that's the part that people just don't spend as much energy on, right?
Well, and there's simple things like, what are you most proud of, or what was your greatest accomplishment? And really having that in your mind, not in a bragging way, but just when I think back on my career, here's the things that really I feel are highlights. And then what are the things that what areas have you learned? And then what did you learn from it? So it's answering strengths and weaknesses in a way that's very thoughtful. So I'll ask someone, so what was your greatest learning? And if they give me a superficial answer, then I know I mean, they haven't thought through really what it is they can do for the organization. But it isn't just saying, yeah, I work too hard. But here's something that happened to me, and here's what I've done since then to get better at that. Because when you're an executive, you do learn from your mistakes. I've learned a ton from my mistakes. I learned way more from that than I do the good stuff. And then what is it that you can try to do better or different? Or what did you coach to? I got a coach or train or all of those things. So that not only are you talking about something that maybe isn't one of your strengths, but how you've tried to improve that area. And that always goes over really well because most people don't prep for that.
No, I feel sometimes it's sort of a concern about coming across as, less than perfect or at least vulnerable. And it's such a lovely thing to be able
Everybody
to
wants a
present.
vulnerable employee.
It all depends on how you present it, of course. And I think that's the critical piece, right?
It is, but if you don't speak with authenticity when you interview, people read through that, especially executives. I mean, I can read through that right away when I'm talking to somebody on the phone. And I don't want to be sold. And I will tell you, I literally have hung up the phone and said, now I feel like I need a shower because I feel like I literally was just sold. And I would never hire that person myself, much less represent them. I mean, people want people who are authentic, will talk candidly, will share their enthusiasm about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, all of that. And that's where I think sometimes we go into an interview so formal, and it isn't that they aren't formal, but they also want to know who, if I hire you, what am I getting? And I think we have people on my team that do a really nice job of drawing that out of people to really get to their authentic self. And the reason I know that is because when I talk to the candidate, we call it the good cop interview, and I'm the bad cop interview. Mine is much more digging in, and they'll say, "I just love your recruiter. I just love her, or I just love him." So that's that really getting to know your subject matter, who you're going to be meeting. All of that is so important.